Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to test out another 5 watercolor sets that were all under $15 to see if they perform differently compared to the sets we already tested that were under $5. Don't forget to make sure notifications are turned on by clicking on the bell and by adjusting the settings. And for a chance to get a shout out and to win arts and crafts supplies in my ongoing giveaway, comment down below, #MyQualificationSquad in the first 24 hours. Alright, so we are going to test out each set in the categories vibrancy, transparency, blooming, blending, and glazing. And we're also going to paint a few simple nebulas to see how they actually perform when you actually paint something. For the test, I will be using cold pressed 100% cotton watercolor paper. The first set is by Reeves. You can get it for about $5 to $6. It comes with 8 different colors in an oval shaped pan and a brush. The first thing I noticed is the smell. The paint smelled really strong, like plastic or rubber. I'm not quite sure, but it smelled definitely not really healthy at all. Also, the way the different colors were placed inside the box was weird too because they felt like all over the place without any system behind it. Usually you have grouped colors like yellow, red, blue, green, and other brown colors. Here it was like really weird. Another thing was the color itself. The colors appeared really pale and not really vibrant, and you could tell that they were also rather chalky. This is an indicator of lower quality watercolor because it is mixed with more binders and less pigments, which results in a chalky and opaque color that lacks vibrancy. There are naturally more opaque colors when used with enough water, and some colors have denser pigments that have the ability to cover what's underneath. But if the color is already super pale and it covers a black line like here, it means it has lots of fillers, not as much as some sets we tested that were under $5, but you can still see some of the chalky layer. The next watercolor set in the test is another Reeves set, but this time in tubes. You can get it for about $10. I paid around €8 for the set, and it comes with 12 different colors. Compared to the first set, you could immediately tell that these colors are a lot more vibrant. Due to the tubes, you can really adjust how intense you want the different colors to be. To see the transition between vibrant and the more lighter shade, I first use a little bit of water to apply the paint and then lots of water to blend out the shade and to make it more lighter. On the black line, you could also see a thin layer of paint and the fillers, but it is still a lot better compared to the first set. All in all, it was a huge improvement so far. The third watercolor set is by the brand called Pentel that you might have already heard about when you were looking for aqua brushes. It comes with 18 different colors in tubes. You can get it for about $12 to $15. Here the colors were even more vibrant. I really like how colorful they are and how happy they felt. I don't know why, but compared to the first watercolor sets, these colors just looked more cheerful, don't you think? The black line was also pretty colorful at the end, but I think it had more to do with the little amount of water I used because some colors didn't cover the black line that much. And for the vibrancy it gave you, it's not that bad at all. The paint application was also pretty smooth, which was a plus as well. The next watercolor set is by the brand called Lefranc Bourgeois. I really hope I pronounced it correctly. It comes with 12 different colors and you can get it for about $12. The box seems like you can add more pens inside and move them around, but I couldn't find any additional ones so far. The vibrancy of the colors were something in between the Reeves No. 2 and Pentel. The colors were pretty vibrant and felt a lot less chalky. The black line was just slightly covered, and overall I was happy with the way the paint behaved because the paint application was really smooth as well. The last set is by the brand called Rowney. It's a mini travel set with 10 different colors and you can get it for about $10 to $15. Even though the colors were really vibrant and the black line was barely covered with anything, compared to all the sets here, this paint had the least chalky coverage in my opinion. Even though you could see how the paint covered the black line a little bit, compared to the other watercolor sets, there was no chalky residue, which is great. The only downside is that this set has no black color, and if you're a beginner, it can be difficult for you to figure out what colors to mix to achieve that. But other than that, it performed really well. As you might already know, there are a lot of watercolor techniques that depend on the quality of the watercolor, such as the wet on wet technique. To test out how they perform, we will test out how they bloom in water and how they blend between each other before we move on. Pretty much every set behaved the same except the first Reeves set. The paint just blended out a little bit and dried really chalky and pale. In my opinion, both Reeves sets didn't do a good job in blending and how they looked once the paint was dry. For me, the other 3 sets did a really good job. Now the very last test is glazing. Glazing is great if you want to take your art to the next level, to change mood, to change the tone of your painting, so it's kind of important. Here I simply used the red colored paint of each set and applied it to a few colors. Except for the first Reeves set, every watercolor set performed the same. They covered the paint slightly and created a new shade without reactivating the paint underneath or drying on top really weirdly. If you remember how the sets under $5 behaved, you know what a huge improvement we have here. Alright, so let's finally test out how these watercolor sets perform when we actually paint something. For this test, I chose nebulas because it's not super complicated and we have lots of blending and layering to do. For each painting, I used similar shades to keep everything as similar as possible. I first created the first layer of paint and then added another layer to intensify the colors and to create an interesting texture. Now, as you can see at the first glance, these paintings look pretty much similar except the first art piece because it looks pretty pale compared to the rest. But if you look closely, you can see that both Reeves sets dried really chalky and cloudy. The colors didn't really dry smoothly at all, especially the second set created this cloudy texture once it dried, which shouldn't really happen unless you want it. The other 3 sets performed pretty much the same as you can see. They all dried smoothly and the colors looked really nice. The only thing I noticed is that the Rowney paints made the texture of the watercolor paper more visible after drying, but all in all, nebulas pretty much look all the same. It was really tough, but in conclusion, I will give this amount of stars for each category out of 5 possible stars. And we have actually 2 winners, Lefranc Bourgeois and Rowney. Except for the Reeves watercolor sets, I didn't see a huge difference in the performance. If you're a beginner and you don't have a set at all, or you just want to upgrade a little bit, I would suggest to look into the last 3 sets that performed really well because there is no big difference in my opinion. The prices are all different in every country, so maybe you can check out what's cheaper for you and test it out. I personally really enjoyed working with the Pentel watercolor set because the colors were just so cheerful and the color choice was really bright and colorful and just happy, so I would definitely use it more. But I will test out more watercolor sets in the future that are under $20, under $30, and maybe even higher to see how they perform. So if you want to wait and see what other watercolor sets you could test out, wait for the review and then you can decide. But let me know in the comments below if there are any specific brand you want me to test out and I will add it to the list. But it's also time to announce the giveaway winner for the month of August. And the winners of the giveaway are Rick, Anupam, and Suha. Congratulations! Please look out for a message in your YouTube inbox. But if you already have a watercolor set that you are already happy with and you just want to improve your art, you can check out the videos right here. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for new videos every week. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day and I will see you soon. Bye!